Okay.
Hi, this is Penny Douglas, and I am with Melanie Young of Hal and Melanie Young, Raising Real Men, and you can be found where?
At raisingrealmen.com.
And I just wanted to interview Melanie. We just finished a marriage retreat together that Hal and Melanie gave us here in the mountains of North Carolina. It was so wonderful.
Oh,
We had
so
such
glad.
a great time. But I wanted to ask her some homeschool questions to encourage new homeschool moms and even ones who are further along in the journey with how to just encouragement in raising young men, especially, and our daughters too, to just really be godly people and go into the calling that God has for their lives. And I saw your sons are really, you had 6 sons in a row, and then 2 daughters.
And then 2 daughters.
So eight kids altogether. So they've done really well. You can tell that the older kids are really doing great, and I'm kind of calling this interview series Proof in the Pudding. And I got to eat some of the proof in the pudding at this retreat because her sons catered this whole event, and the food was excellent. It was so good, and they served it so well. So the questions I wanted to ask have to do with homeschooling, and the first thing I wanted to ask you about was your philosophy of education.
Our philosophy of homeschooling is probably the most important thing is that homeschooling is really about discipleship. That having that time to spend with our kids and to build relationship with them is what I think is the most important part of homeschooling, because now we love academics. We are a very academic family. We have a child that studied Oxford University. But academics without the Lord is useless.
Right.
It's striving after wind, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so the most important part of our homeschooling is discipleship. Teaching our kids what it looks like to walk with Christ 24/7. And then also, we want our kids to have the love of learning. We want them to be excited to learn about God's creation. We want them to love books and to love reading. We want them to be excited about learning different things. And so that's kind of the 2 components of that are at the root of our homeschooling. Is homeschooling is about discipleship, and we want to preserve the love of learning in our kids.
That's great. That's what I think too. I agree. So and then what approach, what style have you used in your homeschooling?
Well, we've been pretty eclectic over the years. We've taken from different philosophies. Probably the one we're most in line with is Charlotte Mason.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! I'm finding out we're sisters.
Yeah. We really like the idea that if we give our kids the tools they need to learn and give them the love of learning, then they're going to run like crazy and they're going to learn. And
right.
We really like that philosophy a lot.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
And we borrow some things from the classical approach. We love great books, and some of our kids have done Latin and things, but we really we love the spirit behind the Charlotte Mason approach. We do a lot of reading aloud, and reading real books. We have tons of books in our home, and it's really our kids call it our family culture.
Uh-huh.
One of the things they've done is, one of our sons recently got married, is he's talking to, there's some books I want you to read. They're just part of my life,
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that is wonderful. So how many kids do you have?
We have 8 children, 6 boys in a row, and then 2 girls. 4 of our sons are adults and on their own, and then 4 kids are still at home.
Wow, that is. And so I was talking about proof in the pudding and how 4 of your boys were here this weekend cooking the food and serving.
Well, 3 of our guys were here this weekend.
Yeah.
1 of our adult sons and our 2 teenage boys were here.
Okay, and my husband can attest to the wonderful food they cooked for us. and they served it, and they were so wonderful. Their manners were so good and everything. So you definitely have good proof of your pudding of your
Prepare
approach.
daughters.
Yes.
I approve.
And so, tell me a little bit about what your older
Okay.
sons are doing now.
Okay, our oldest son is a web developer, and he does some kind of ninja web developing that's really high level. He makes a lot more money than we do, but he's currently working on a project, working on an app that will help oncologists do a better job treating their patients.
Oh wow.
Yeah, our second son, Caleb, you met. He was until recently, he was communications director for a big foundation in DC.
Wow.
But he just quit that job and moved in with our oldest son, and he is going into business with one of our younger sons doing some entrepreneurship.
Great. That's wonderful. Yeah.
And then our third son is in the doctoral program at the University of North Carolina studying political theory. He just recently got married. Our fourth son is in the entrepreneurship program at Catawba College, where he's studying.
So getting into college was not a problem. They were homeschooled all the way through, right?
Our kids were homeschooled from the beginning all the way through to graduation from high school, and all four of them went to college on academic scholarships.
Wow.
So we have 3 college graduates, 1 still in college.
So that's pretty good proof there.
Homeschooling really does work.
Yes.
You know, it really does work, and it works without freaking out and doing tons of worksheets and extra book work. If you give your kids a love of learning and provide the tools that they need, you'll be fine.
I could not have said that better. I think I've said things like that along the way, but I really appreciate you giving me this time, and it's been wonderful meeting you.
We've had a great weekend. It's been so much fun.
I think it was great for everybody that came, and thank you for this interview, and I hope to be talking to you more. And I'll put this in Homeschool Scopes, and
Great.
And we'll talk to our friends there. Found out that we're both in Homeschool Scopes too.
Yeah.
So we have a lot in common.
We do. We have a lot in common, Penny.
Yes.
Well, thank you for coming to Come Away Weekend.
Yeah.
I'm glad to get the chance to meet you and your husband.
This.
We had a great time, and thank you for having me on your scope.
Yes, and thank you, Hal, for doing our filming for us.
All right.
Okay, bye.
Bye, y'all.